Where do I begin? Holy crap. Today's episode of Akiba Maid Senso was so fantastic. Honestly, I knew this one was going to get great. And not that it hasn't been great, because every episode has been a thrill. But it has developed into such a huge, chaotic mess of just debauchery and blood and war. Sprinkled in with a little maid, a little maidness, which is that's all you really need. But let's get into this. So this episode had the Creatureland and Maidland groups, which are the two separate, I guess, head maid companies, with their subdivisions of obviously the maid cafes. Are getting into a beef now because, well, Inky Doink's obviously murdering everybody, and the Moon group from Maidland is they got blown up in a few episodes ago. So that's been kind of going on while the plot is developed throughout the episodes. And we start the episode kind of with almost like a backlog of just kind of what's been kind of going on with the community over the last so many years, like 10, 15 years. And we get introduced to a new character who apparently has been a big baddie, and she was in prison for 7 years with the Midland group, and she gets out, right? She gets out of prison, comes right away with her bat, busts the window open, and goes, "Yeah, this is it. This is the fresh air." And it was really kind of really cool to see all that stuff go down, and the fact that that's how they open up the episode was just insane. And we find out her name, which is really just really freaking awesome. It's called she's called the Crimson Supernova. And dang, do they do it justice. So that's happening, and right after that we kind of go flashy back to our main girl, Nagumi, who's handing out flyers and things. She meets up with her friend that's from the opposing group, Nura, who they've been kind of going back and forth as everything happens, handing out flyers, talking, becoming friends. And we learn that she really wants to become friends with her, knowing that this maid war is really about to start, while the manager, Tenshao, goes to the heads up at the old barn and goes, "Look, you guys need to go and forgive them, make up for all the freaking damage you've done to all these groups." And they know it's a suicide pact. So that's being set up. We get back to the maid cafe, and we run into Ranko and the whole group, and she wants to become friends. Well, not Ranko, but Nagami wants to become sisters with Nura. And with that pretty much just entails a blood sister type of thing where, obviously no matter what happens, you're sisters, and through thick and thin. So she talks to Ranko, and she's like, "Yeah, I used to have a sister back in the day, and it just didn't end up well because they had different perspectives on things, and she hasn't seen her since." But Nagami don't care. She talks to good old Tenshao, and they're like, "Yeah, we could do that." So they go to the ramen cafe that's owned by General, and they kind of become bonded, and they do this ritual thing with a bowl. I want to say it was just a pork cutlet ramen. I'm not positive, but it looked delicious as always. Like every ramen or any food in an anime, they all look freaking great. So that happens. We kind of go to Ranko, and that might have been right before this or right after this. I've only watched this once on the top of my head, and she's talking to our Crimson. They're kind of getting along, buying a drink, While on the other side of things, Crimson's at their establishment talking to Kazu, who is the president of this group now, and they're just tame, boring ass group, and she wants to do violence. So she breaks a bunch of stuff, makes a point, and she's ready to start the war. So we go back to the streets again with Nagami, and she runs into her friend, and they slip and they fall and they mix up papers, and Nura gives her this little slip on top of her paper saying, like, look, just so you know, there's a war gonna happen. And Nura is like the goat of this episode, sadly. And she reports the group to the cops, saying there's gonna be a war happening, so they want her head. Well, that's all going on. Tenshao is trying to pretty much get Nagami to make her bleach more information. Obviously, the war thing is the main thing that they got out of it, or coming to attack. So she did get the information out, but she didn't want to betray her because she doesn't want to use her like that because they're sisters. And now that one group is looking for Nura because obviously she's a traitor and they want to murder her. So we get Crimson and I want to say it's Miyabi. I think it's Miyabi. And they meet in the alley while Nagami and Nanko are searching for her, and they find her after talking to the general and figuring out where she's at. And they go there, and obviously a fight happens between them because obviously they have to take her out. And they go to take her out, and she stands up for herself. And oh my gosh, this is where things get so heated. Nura pulls out a knife and goes to attack her, and obviously Nagami wants to help, but Ranko's like, no, this isn't our thing right now. So she ends up getting shot and killed, and the cops are coming, so obviously they were to run away. She hands out her badge, and she's just like, if I would have gotten to know you more, I really wish I could have lived longer. And the episode just comes to an end. Blood everywhere, cut to outro. Great lead into the outro in this episode. They did fantastic. That outro has always been good, but the way they cut it to match up with that was so smooth and sets up so good for the next latter half of the season. I think Nagami is going to become violent, and it's going to be fantastic, and she's going to get revenge, and things are going to go wrong. I feel like it's going to be a real big twist. PA Works is doing such a great job on this, and I'm glad this dropped. It makes me so happy. And I look forward to watching the rest of this. It is so good. Oh my goodness. It actually has a nice coherent story. The lore, the plot. It is a gore fest, don't get me wrong. But dang, they apply it so well. And I'm very happy about that, and I very much look forward to seeing the rest of this. So that's really all I gotta say. This episode was a straight 10 out of 10 in my books. They couldn't have done anything different that would have been, perfectly well aligned with it. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.